Hello guys and welcome to today's session. Today we are going to see how we can do Windows enrollment using a provisioning package, which can be created using Windows Configuration Designer or by using SetupSchoolPC. So guys, I had initially not anticipated how important this nugget is, but now having seen all the live case scenarios of doing different kind of enrollments, I would say that provisioning package approach of enrollment is as important, if not more, as let's say Windows Autopilot or group policy enrollment. And hopefully by the end of this session, we would know why. So this is what I'm planning on covering in today's agenda. First, we will do a quick background and understand what are the various ways of enrolling a Windows device to Intune, out of which Windows provisioning package is one. We will then figure out the benefits of using a provisioning package and we'll do a comparison with, let's say, Autopilot. Then we'll figure out what are the contents of a provisioning package, how a provisioning package can be created using both the tools. We'll understand what exactly are the tokens that are involved when a package is created. We'll take a look over the relevant logs and registries, and then we will see the various ways by which a package can be installed in a device, maybe as a Win32 app or maybe some other approach in out of the box, after out of the box in all the different stages. We'll figure out what is the working of a provisioning package, how exactly it's installed, and what are the things that are working under the hood for the provisioning package to take effect. We will take a look over what is a multivariant package, and then in the demo, we will do all these things above. So guys, if we are familiar with Windows enrollment to Intune, then this is a snippet of the various ways by which we can enroll a Windows device. So obviously there are some prerequisites in some of these. Like for example, if we want to do a Azure AD join, then the device needs to have a Azure AD license, right? If we want to do a autopilot, the device needs to have a Azure AD license. If we want to do a GPO, then there needs to be an on-premise. You need to have an on-premise domain controller, right? Only then it will be group policy. Only then you are going to hybrid Azure AD join the device, right? Same thing is applicable on co-management as well. If you're doing provisioning package, the device gets Azure AD joined. Therefore, you need to have a Azure AD. You need to have a Azure AD license, right? And then deep link. So the point that I'm trying to make is there are some differences between all these approaches, but the commonality is that using all these approaches, we can enroll a Windows device to Intune. Now, there are out of these, some are bulk methods and some are end user enrollment methods. Like for example, if you are doing the manual enrollment, right, or auto enroll, these are end user enrollment methods. Or if you're doing a autopilot, this is autopilot is also a manual end user method wherein each device has to be autopiloted one by one. Or you can go to start settings and then enroll the device from there, or you can use the deep link or the company portal application. Now there are some bulk enrollment ways as well. That is like using a SetupSchoolPC or Windows Configuration Designer or Windows Autopilot. I have categorized it into bulk enrollment because even though the end user is logging into each device individually, but the setup is done in bulk, as in all the devices get ready in one go just when you upload the hardware hash, and then when you create autopilot profile and assign it to a dynamic group, right? And then group policy and co-management are also bulk methods of enrolling. Now the intent of this session is making this big decision of when a provisioning package has to be used, because there are so many options, and if there are so many options, then that leads to confusion that which one is best suited for my organization. And believe me guys, this is so important because so often I have seen organizations making use of autopilot just because it's cool, but there are things, but maybe provisioning package would had been a better choice for them, right? And that is why later on in the nugget I'm going to specifically call out the differences between autopilot and provisioning package. But the rule of the thumb here is think of provisioning package as a conventional way via which we would probably have a golden image and we would use that image to we would use that golden image or master image to image all our devices. And the intent is, once the device has been imaged using our golden image, which would contain all the firmwares, the drivers, and stuff like that, the device is going to be business ready. So provisioning package in a way helps us achieve that scenario, wherein the provisioning package, or I'm doing a comparison with the golden image scenario, wherein that is taken care by the IT admin of the organization, and the IT admin runs the provisioning package, does all the setup, and then hands over the device to the end user. If you're going to use Autopilot, there is no, I mean, if you want to make use of Autopilot, there is no point the IT admin doing it. The IT admin might do something like a white glove, but if your IT admin is involved, then there is no point him doing autopiloting the device and then giving that device to the end user. So if you want to offload the enrollment process to the end user, then probably using deep link or company portal is one method, or maybe using Autopilot. For group policy and co-management, well, if the device is on-prem domain joined, then these things happen automatically under the hood, because we create such policies from either the domain controller, or in this case we add the device to SCCM collection, and then the SCCM collection creates a scheduled task which runs the device enroller and it enrolls the device, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is a comparison between this and this, and the rule of the thumb is, if you as an admin want that the device should be directly shipped in a boxed state to the end user, then probably you should go with the Autopilot approach. But if you want that you as an admin should be the one unboxing the device and imaging the device, installing all the heavy software, then provisioning package is the one. There is no point in you as an IT admin autopiloting the device and then giving it to the end user. And in most of the educational institutions, I have seen that in 99% of the cases, this is the approach that is followed. Or maybe let's say that there are a bunch of laptops which you want to give to the VVIPs of your organization. You won't have the VVIP autopilot the device at their end, right? Because it is time consuming. So in that case, you would either use white glove, or you would take a brand new device, use a provisioning package which would enroll the device, get everything set up, and then give the device to the VVIPs, right? So hence this distinction. So I hope that we have to an extent, we'll obviously do a deep dive later on, but we have to an extent understood when to use Autopilot and when to use provisioning package. My recommendation is, don't just go with Autopilot because it is like cloud first and it sounds fancy, and you just power on the device and you just need to have internet and then everything becomes ready. The downside, I mean, there is a downside over there as well, right? The downside being, the enrollment is happening at the end user's end, right? So if the enrollment is happening at the end user's end, anything and everything that goes wrong at the end user's laptop while enrollment, that we need to troubleshoot, right? But over here, if we have an IT admin present, then it's easier for him to have the device in front of him, run the provisioning package, and troubleshoot the error while the device is just in front of him. And once the provisioning package has been applied, once everything is ready, then ship the device, right? Okay, so this slide talks about what is the need of having a provisioning package, and as an administrator, we can use provisioning package of a Windows device to Azure AD, join the devices in bulk, and enroll it to Intune, right? And so a provisioning package is something that can be used outside of Intune as well, just like Autopilot can be used outside of Intune, right? You can Autopilot is what Azure AD joining the device and enrolling it to an MDM, which in this case happens to be Intune, but it can be some other MDM as well, right? So similarly, using a provisioning package, we can Azure AD join the device, Intune enroll the device, or not do any of this. We can just create a provisioning. So provisioning, think of provisioning pack. The best way to understand what a provisioning package is think of provisioning package as just a script, right? Well, a script that is not having a .ps1 format, but that's having a different extension, which in this case is going to be .ppkg, and it can be applied in various state of the device. But think of a package as a script which is containing a bunch of information, right? So that information can be the tenant to which the device needs to join to, or it can be very simple as just creation of a local admin account, or just setting the time in the device, or just setting the wallpaper, right? So what I'm trying to say is the script can do just like a .ps1 or a script can do anything. A provisioning package also can do anything. It's not necessary that it's always going to enroll the device. However, in this case, we are talking about, if we just talk about Intune, then we are talking about how to use provisioning package to enroll a device to Intune, right? Hence it's relevant, but the point I wanted to make here is that provisioning package can be used outside of Intune as well, and it has traditionally been used always, right? It's not something new, and it's not a feature of Intune, it's a feature of Windows. Okay. All right. What are the benefits of using a provisioning package? One-time setup, because you just need to create the package or the script just once, and it needs to be run on each of the device, right? So there are many, as I said, there are many ways of running it. We'll look into that later on, but it is a one-time setup wherein the end user just needs to power on the device. It can be the end user or it can be the IT admin. More often than not, it's the IT admin who is going to power on the device connected to the internet, and then double click on the package file. Usually it's not the end user, because we would not give the package file to the end user. So rather than end user, I should rather call it IT admin. uh, if it is the end user that is involved, then I would rather recommend Autopilot and not a provisioning package. But ADMIN, over these years only, I would have imagined that my handwriting over here would have got better, but not to be. Anyways, so it's a one-time setup wherein the package just needs to be created once. Bulk enrollment, it allows us to scale and do bulk enrollment of devices, meaning let's say that I have 1,000 devices which needs to be enrolled. I just create one package and I can use that, and I can run those package in all those 1,000 devices at a time, and all the devices will be enrolled to Intune simultaneously, right? Windows provisioning is the best way to configure end user's device without imaging. So in this case, we are not doing the imaging of the device, as in there is no change in the version of the operating system. Like when you image a device, you use a ISO, and then you use that to mount to a device, and then you image it, right, using the ISO. In this case, we are not doing that. The device already comes with the operating system, and on top of the operating system, we are running the script or the provisioning package, which is making changes to the operating system. Later on, we will see that in a way it is referencing the CSPs that are exposed by the operating system to make these changes, right? So that's essentially what the PPKG is doing. And then we can set up kiosk or personal use devices as well very easily using a provisioning package. We can quickly configure new devices without going through the process of installing a new image. We already spoke about this. There is no imaging that we are doing. We are saving time and configuration, and quickly configure. We can configure the MDM in this as well. So as I was saying initially, it's not necessary that provisioning package will always be used with Intune or an MDM, but in this case, that is the relevant scenario. We can, however, the setup for the we can even set up a device without the device having a network connectivity. Like for example, well, if the device needs to be Azure AD joined in Intune enrolled, then the device needs to have internet. But let's say that you want to just create a local admin account, or you want to just set the time in the device. So for that, you don't need any internet connectivity, right? So it is just like double clicking and running a script in the device. That is what the package is doing essentially, right? So to run a PS1 script, you don't need any internet in the device, right? So now this is an important slide, because this slide is doing a comparison between Autopilot and SetupSchoolPC or Windows Configuration Designer, which are two different tools of which we will talk about later, which is used to create a provisioning package. So in case of Windows Autopilot is used when the unboxing is done by the student or the teachers or the users who are powering on the device, doing the initial configuration of the customized OOBE, entering the credentials. That credentials has a Azure license assigned and then EMS Intune license assigned, then the device gets Azure ready joined, Intune enrolled, business ready, gets all the applications, gets all the policies, and then good to go, right? However, in case of provisioning package, so let me call this PPKG instead of setup school PC. So setup school PC is nothing but just an application to create this package, right? This package.ppkg can be created using a multiple tool, using few tools, a couple of tools. Setup School PC is one, and the other is Windows Configuration Designer. So in case of enrolling a device using PPKG, the IT staff is performing the unboxing, powering on the device, and then running the package, right? In this case, well, it over here it says that best for shared devices. However, it can be used for non-shared devices as well. Windows Autopilot, over here it says that best for one-on-one devices, but as we know, it can be used in shared devices scenario as well, right? So both can be used in both the scenarios. It is just a recommendation that is given over here. This is best for deploying large number of apps simultaneously on a slow network, because the package in itself is containing all the application. Bigger the application in the package, bigger the size of the package, but we just have to double click and run, and it's going to install it install it locally in the device. However, in case of Autopilot, the applications which are deployed to the device group or the user group, they are going to be downloaded over the internet, right? So usually it takes a little longer, right? In this case, reliable internet is required. In this case, also reliable internet is required. In this case, probably the internet required might be a little more, because the Azure AD join into enrollment and then download of all the application is happening over the internet. In this case, the package in itself contains most of the information. Well, obviously in this case also the device is going to be Azure AD join into enrolled, so all that processing and bandwidth of the network will still be needed, but this might require a little less network, right? And deployment time, well, both of them take pretty much the same amount of time. I believe Autopilot might take a little while longer, because you have to go through the OOB screen, and then if you have set up a ESP, then ESP is going to block it in a couple of pages and stuff like that. While running a PPKG, it's comparatively, in my opinion, a little faster, wherein you just have to double click. I mean, you just have to find a way of running the PPKG, which we are going to see later. The PPKG applies. You have an option of rebooting the machine, not mandatory. And once you reboot, the device is business ready, because by that time the device is Azure already joined into enrolled. All the policies are down to the device. Okay. In Autopilot, we have to think about the OEM as well. So there is a list of OEMs that support Autopilot. Most of the OEMs do. In case of provisioning package, there is nothing dependent on the OEM. I mean, as long as the device is running with any supported version of Windows, the package is going to run. Okay. Over here in this case, we can create a package using Windows Configuration Designer or SetupSchoolPC. These are two applications using which the package can be created. Like for example, how do we create a .ps1? We can write a ps1 in a notepad and then save it, but I mean it's going to run in command prompt. It's going to run in PowerShell, right? So similarly, how do we create a PPKG? We have SetupSchoolPC or Windows Configuration Designer, right? These are the two options that we have. And using PPKG, we can join the device to Azure AD, Intune enroll to the device, or not do either of them. Using Windows Autopilot, we can do a Azure AD join Autopilot. We can do a hybrid Azure AD join Autopilot. In both the cases, devices are either Azure AD join Intune enrolled or hybrid Azure AD join Intune enrolled, or we can do a hybrid Azure AD join Autopilot over VPN, right? All right. So I hope, again, just a quick pause before I move forward. I hope that until now we have understood how provisioning package is standing out. And I cannot stress this more, because this is so important that you are making the right choice while determining what is the right way of enrolling the device. If the devices are there with the IT admin, please very strictly consider this option of using a PPKG and using a provisioning package to enroll the device. Don't go with Autopilot, because Autopilot is something that was meant for enrollment for the end user. If the IT admin is doing it, if the IT admin is doing the enrollment, there are more seamless ways of enrolling a device like PPKG, and this is custom made for these scenarios itself. So it's just like imaging a device using a golden image, right? Okay, so what is a provisioning package? A provisioning package which has an extension of .ppkg. Think of it like a container which contains a collection of settings. So what that is exactly what a script also is, right? Think of script as a container which is containing a bunch of settings that we have configured in a specific format, right? So similarly, .ppkg is also a container which contains a bunch of settings in a specific format which we can view in in an XML, and then it tells us all the settings that the ppkg is going to apply. Right? We can apply provisioning package to Windows 10 and later. We can apply during OOBE or later as well. So again, another difference: if you want to autopilot a device, you can only autopilot it in the first page of OOBE, right? If you are past the OOBE, then you cannot use autopilot. Then you will have to system reset the device and then initiate the OOBE again, that because that is when the autopilot.dll is going to be triggered, right? However, in case of provisioning package, that is not the case. You can initiate the provisioning package enrollment or the application of, you can apply the provisioning package to the device during the OOBE itself, or after the OOBE as well. If you're at the normal desktop screen, you have an option of just adding a provisioning package from start settings, or you can just double click and run the provisioning package as well, right? And add all the settings that were there. So the provisioning package has the following data. It has something called package metadata, a XML descriptor, and the asset payload. So package metadata contains the metadata or the basic information of the package. The XML descriptor contains the settings that we are changing or that we wish to change, and then the payload. Okay. Now precedence of provisioning package. Now provisioning package can be from various sources, right? Like for example, you can create a .pswin, a PowerShell script, and then apply it on the device. The OEM can also, while he is, let's say that you bought a laptop from Dell. So once you bought the laptop from Dell, once you're at the desktop screen, you can create a .ps1 and double click and run it, right? So that is at the and IT admin's end, right? Now, let's say that you bought that laptop from the OEM. Now, let's in this case, let's say Dell. So Dell also has the ability of, after installing the OS, they also have the ability of, while after or during the installation of OS, they have the ability of applying a provisioning package, right? So that is at the OEM level, and then we can always apply provisioning package at the OS level as well, right? Which is applied while the OS is being built, which is done by Microsoft, right? So there are multiple. So the long story short here is there are multiple provisioning packages which are available for device provisioning, and if there are more than one package involved, then the owner type, and there is something called package rank that defines the settings of which package is going to be used if there is a conflict. Like for example, let's say that there is a package which was applied to the device by Microsoft, and then the same package and a similar setting of that package was applied by the OEM as well. And now, as a end user or an IT admin, we are trying to make relevant changes to the package again. I mean, again, by creating a new package which is referencing the same setting. So in that case, this is the hierarchy order. From lowest to highest. So whichever is applied, whichever is at the bottom has the highest precedence. So whatever IT admin is applying will obviously that is going to override everything else. Hence, let's say that there was a package which was applied by Microsoft or by the OEM which had set the time in the device to UST. I mean to US time zone, as in to EST, not UST. So the IT admin can always apply a package which he has created at his end, which is going to change the timing from EST to, let's say, IST, right? So then the timing which has been configured in this package is going to take precedence, even though there was a package which was run by the OEM during the configuration of the machine at the factory end, right? The point that I'm trying to make is this is documented very clearly in our official docs that this is the sequence of application of a provisioning package. And then when conflicting settings are encountered, the final value provisioned on the device is determined by the owner type. And this is the priority risk of, this is the priority level of the owner type from highest to lowest. Highest is at the bottom and lowest is at the top, right? And each package has a owner type and a rank level, and the combination of that determines which package is going to proceed, right? The valid value ranges of the package range from 0 to 99. Okay, now let's talk about how do we create a provisioning package. We know what provisioning package is, we know what provisioning package does, we know when provisioning package is supposed to be used. Now let's see how we can create a provisioning package. Now there are two tools to create provisioning package. Both are freely available. Both have different options. Depending upon the options that we want, we can choose either. One has limited options, one has a better list of options or better range of options, and we can use either. The tool that is conventionally used is Windows Image Configuration Designer. This is a tool which is very commonly used outside of Intune as well, and the tool is included in Windows ADK. Now there is another tool which is available in Microsoft Store, and that is called SetupSchoolPC. This tool is usually used by educational institutions, not necessary, but usually used because the school has limited options. And usually the IT admins in the schools will also have limited knowledge of IT, right? Therefore, we have less complicated the options and the stuff, and we have only surfaced the widely used ones, right? But both the options are there. We are going to take a look over each of them. So when we are creating a PPKG using Windows Configuration Designer, there are a lot of things that can be configured. I mean, the list is just endless. I could have never made this. I can never create a all-inclusive list of all the things that can be done using Windows Configuration Designer because there are a lot of customizations that can be done. These are some commonly used features of Windows Configuration Designer, which can be used with Intune. Like for example, we can set accounts, or we can set the browsers or certificates, add applications in the package, regional settings, addition upgrades, any kind of policies which is enabling or disabling anything in the device, rename the computer, execute script. This is the reason why I said that the list is just endless, because we can run a PowerShell script or a VBS script using provisioning package, right? And the script can do virtually anything. Therefore, indirectly using provisioning package, we can do anything and everything in the device, and then remove pre-installed software. Again, this is not a complete list by any imagination. This is just some commonly used things. So this is how a Windows image configuration designer looks like. And as I said, this comes with the Windows ADK kit, ADK. And over here, you can see that just when you launch it, there are so many options that comes up, right? It tells you the recent projects that have been opened in this device. If there are none, then it will not show you anything over here. And then it is giving you a quick start options. If you want to if you want to deploy desktops, you can directly go over there. If HoloLens, you can go over there. Provisioning kiosk, you can go over there. Mobile devices, Surface hubs, and then there is this advanced option, right? And then when we click on any of them, the relevant window opens up, which all we are going to see in the demo. And then we have an option of selecting the settings that we want to configure. And then it's very easy. We just have to select the settings, provide the needed information. The package is created, package is saved. Now that package needs to be applied in the device. So we just have to load the package or move the package to the device, or maybe in a shared location from wherein the device can download and access, maybe in OneDrive as well, or via USB cable or network share, as I said, whichever is easier. And then we just have to run the package. Okay, now here are some quick tips and tricks. So what happens is when we create a provisioning package, it actually creates an account in the Azure AD, and that account, which has something like this, a package underscore a GUID at the rate the tenant name, and that account is actually the one that is joining the devices to Azure AD and then enrolling the device, right? So if you have created a package, now you are afraid that the package might have gone to wrong hands. Now you don't know where the package is, right? The package could be with me, and you're not comfortable with me having the package and enrolling a number of devices. So what you can do is you can disable that account or delete that account from Azure. Because when I run the package, that account is present in the package, which is going to try and enroll the device, and that is going to fail because the account no longer exists. Also, another point to note here is, let's say that there is a device at the OOB screen itself, and we're applying a package which is going to join the device to Azure AD and Intune Enroll. Now, let's say for some reason the process failed and there was no local admin account created in the device, then probably it might be difficult to get into the device, right? Because the Azure AD join process is not completed, therefore we won't be able to log into the device using any Azure credentials. The scripts that are run in the provisioning package run in the system context, and this enrollment is considered as a userless method of enrollment because and the default enrollment restrictions in Intune apply during enrollment. Okay, so obviously goes without saying, if we are doing enrollment of device using provisioning package, the enrollment restriction and everything needs to be set. And this way of enrollment is a userless enrollment, meaning once the device is enrolled using provisioning package, when we go into the portal, um, we are going to see that the device is not attributed to a specific user, and the default enrollment restrictions which are there, which are created in the portal, are going to take effect by default. This is a screenshot from my tenant, and this is what I was talking about. So I had created so many packages. These packages were created using Windows Configuration Designer. And over here you see each package has a prefix of package underscore, and then it has a package ID, and the complete user principal name is this at the rate my tenant name, right? So all these packages were created using Windows Configuration Designer, and these packages were created using the other app, which is SetupSchoolPC, and both have the same format as far as the UPN is concerned. Let's say that I created a package and I'm not sure where that package is. I'm not confident that the package is in the right hands. Just need to select the account and then delete that account, right? So that that package no longer is functional. Now, Setup School PC is just another application available freely in store, which does the same thing, but it is customized for school scenarios. So it has limited options. It does not have as many options as a Windows Configuration Designer, but we have provided limited information for a reason. And the reason is Setup School PC would probably be used by a school admin, and that school admin is not going to use many granular features. So over here, the focus is on simplicity rather than a lot of options. The usage of the app is very simple, and any non-technical guy as well can use this. Well, the person needs to be a global admin or Intune admin, but only limited settings are surfaced, which are commonly used in EDU scenarios, and the app logs down the device to a state wherein anything that is not beneficial to education is prevented. Okay, so we'll see this live in action later on, but I just wanted to share a couple of snippets on how exactly the process looks like while creating a provisioning package from Setup School PC application. So just when we launch the application, it tells us if you want to get started, we just have to click on get started. And then there are a couple of steps that happens. First, we have to sign in. And at this point, we have to sign in into the application using a global admin account. So think of it like an admin who is going to create the provisioning package, which is later on going to be used in enrolling all the devices. Now, obviously, a global admin account is needed so that this happens, because the device is going to be Azure AD joined and Intune enrolled, hence global admin. Okay. Once we sign in, the next step you can see is wireless network. You have an option of selecting a wireless network, or you can skip it. If you select the wireless network, then the endpoints over where we are going to install the provisioning package are going to seamlessly connect to that wireless network. Okay, and then the next is device name. This is a prefix that we can add to the device name, similar to what we would do in Autopilot profile as well. So if I add this prefix, then all the device, so it over here even says that we'll add each device's serial number at the end so that every device has a unique name. So the actual name of the device is going to be whatever we enter over here plus the serial number of the device. Okay, this is what is making all the devices unique. So serial number is something that we can set, again optional, and then we can set settings as well. So if we are using the Setup School PC app, then the settings that we can configure while creating a provisioning package is limited. If we are using the Windows configuration designer, then there are a lot of settings that we can create. Again, just keep in mind, Setup School PC is an application used to create provisioning packages, especially for schools, not for enterprises. So if you're an admin managing a school, then this app is for you. If you're managing an enterprise, then use the Windows configuration designer because it has more options. Setup School PC is customized for school usage because this is more user friendly and has less options. So over here you see it has got these five or six options that we can configure. First is remove apps pre-installed by the device manufacturer. If I check any of the box, then the package is going to behave accordingly. If I don't check it, then that feature is not going to be there in the package. So over here we see these five options, right? What do these five options mean? The first one was remove apps pre-installed by the device manufacturer. Now, if we select this option, then what happens is it uninstalls the apps that come loaded on the computer by the device manufacturer. However, if you are selecting this option and then you're installing the provisioning package, then the provisioning package is going to add 30 minutes to the provisioning package, to the provisioning process, because it's going to do that cleanup from the device. The next one was allow local storage over here. The second option that we see, allowing local storage. If we select that, then the local storage is allowed. If we don't select that, then the local storage is not allowed. So this is not recommended for shared devices, because obviously in shared devices we would not want the local storage to be visible to anybody who is using the device. So if we select this option, what happens is it lets the user save files to the desktop and the document folder, because we are allowing the local storage. If we are not allowing the local storage, then the end user can only save in, let's say, OneDrive, which if it has been configured. And allowing the local storage is not recommended if the device is a part of a shared cart or a lab, because in that we are not going to give that access. Optimize the device for a single student instead of a shared cart. So if we optimize it for a single student, then it's going to be, it's going to be one-on-one, as in one student is using one device rather than a shared device scenario, right? And then we have let the guest user sign in. If we select this option, then a guest account is created. Think of it like a local admin account, a local account, not an admin account, a local account that is created. And even if there is no student who wants to use a username and password, he can still log in using the guest account, right? And then log background screen and enable autopilot reset. So log background screen is, we have an option of selecting an image as well, that we can click on browse over here, and we can go to a wallpaper or something like that, which is going to be the lock screen image. We are going to do all of this in the demo. What I wanted to show was the steps, or just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek on the different steps that happens. We sign in using a global admin. We can connect it to a wireless network, which the end devices will connect to automatically. We have a device name prefix. We have the settings tab as well, wherein we are selecting all these settings. We can enable test, take a test, which is an option wherein the device gets logged down in a kiosk mode, if you would say it, running just a browser wherein a specific URL is opened. And then we can install applications as well in the provisioning package itself. So over here you can see I can select this Microsoft Office 365, or I can select Minecraft, or I can select any other applications, right? So what this does is, think of it just like a image, right? So when we would be creating an image, there are a lot of inputs or ingredients that we would be putting into the image, right? And this is what exactly we are doing right now. We are creating an image or a provisioning package, and we are adding inputs, like wherever this image is applied, the device is going to have this naming prefix, the device is going to connect to this Wi-Fi, the device is going to have these settings, whether storage is enabled, disabled, shared PC is enabled, disabled, stuff like that. The device is going to have these applications, whatever applications we select over here. And whatever settings we select over here determines the size of the package as well, right? Because if we select a application over here which gets added to the provisioning package, well, obviously the size of the provisioning package will be more, right? And the time to provision the device is also going to increase depending upon the applications and the settings we choose over here. Because obviously, if we are choosing MS Office, the Office suite in the provisioning package, then while we apply the provisioning package, the Office suite is going to install, right? So it's going to take longer time as compared to if we did not select any options while we were creating the package, right? And then there is this summary button, and then the package gets created. There are many ways of applying a package. Now, this is also important. We will see all of that in the demo. So we can apply a package in two stages. One is if the device is in the OOBE phase itself, and second is post OOBE. So let's say that you have a brand new fresh device which you are deploying. So as an admin, it is very convenient because we can provision a device using a provisioning package in the OOBE itself, which means that we are going to save the time of going into the desktop and then double clicking on the provisioning package and then applying it like that. So the way to do that is we power on the device. We are in the first screen wherein we have to select the language and location, and in that screen itself we just have to insert a USB drive and press a couple of keys, and then just when we go to the next screen, the operating system by default realizes that there is a USB drive attached and there is a provisioning package that is present in that USB drive, and the provisioning package applies on the device automatically. That's one way of doing it during the OOBE itself. The second way of doing it is, like you can see over here in the device, we are at the desktop screen. So we can go to Start Settings, Access Work or School, and over there we have an option of adding a package. We can either do that, or we can just double click on the package. So no matter what approach we follow, whether we apply a provisioning package in the OOBE itself, in the settings page, in the language or location page by inserting a USB drive which contains the provisioning package, or post OOBE if we go into Start Settings, Access Work or School, and then click on Add a Package, or if we double click on the package, the moment we select any of these options, it actually tells us what is the customization that the package is going to do. It is going to cause the device to reboot. It is going to do some customization. It's going to add or change applications. It's going to change the device name, apply some policies. The device is going to be Azure AD joined. And since the auto enrollment is configured and we have set the MDM scope, the device is going, after Azure AD join, the device is going to be Intune enrolled as well. Right? So these are the changes that the package is going to do. We just have to click on yes, add. The package is going to be applied, and then the best practice is just rebooting the machine once it has been applied. Once you have rebooted, the device is going to show up in the Intune portal as well as in Azure, and you should be able to log into the machine using your Azure AD credentials. It's important to note that when we are running this package, the device should have internet connectivity, because if it does not have internet connectivity, then the device is not going to be Azure AD joined, right? So then the process is going to fail. It tells us that now you're going to be signed out. The device is going to restart in a minute. This is a package that we just double click and ran. Or you can go to Start Settings, Access Work or School, and then click on Add a Package. And over here, you are able to see that package as well once it is added, right? All right. So we added a package. The package got applied. Everything looked good. The device was Azure AD joined, Intune enrolled. Now we have to understand what does the package contain. Let's just break down the contents of the package now. We understand that the package or the PPKG is like a image file and it is containing all the settings. It is, we can think of it like an image file or a script, and the script is configuring the steps that we are selecting while we are creating the package and it's being applied. But let's understand in a little more detail on what exactly the package is containing. So we have a PowerShell command which is get hyphen provisioning package, and then we can point to the path of the provisioning package, and then we will see that each package has a package ID, and it has a version as well. So if we are making any changes to the package, then the version is going to change, and the package ID is always going to remain the same. And it has a rank as well. So these are important things that we have seen over here. Each package having its own package ID and a rank. Okay. Now, when we create a package, it depends upon where we have created the package from. If we have created it from SetupSchoolPC, then it does not contain a lot of information. But if we have created a package using Windows Configuration Designer, then over here we can see that there is a folder that gets created with the name, and it contains a lot of files. We see that it contains the ppkg, which we are going to double click and run whenever we want to install the ppkg, or the pen drive should contain this ppkg if we want to insert it and run it during UB itself. Or there are others, and there are some other files as well, like customizations.xml and settings metadata and few other files, right? This customizations.xml is an important file, and we are going to see what this file contains. But the point that I want to make here is, if we are creating a provisioning package using Windows Configuration Designer, then a folder is going to be created which is going to contain the package as well as these additional files as well. Now we can open the customization.xml file. We can just double click and open it, and it contains a lot of information. The first thing that this file contains is the package ID. And this package ID is same as what we saw over here when we ran the PowerShell script, right? When we ran that, not PowerShell script, when we ran this PowerShell commandlet and pointed it to the same provisioning package. So the customization.xml file, which is present over here, if we open that, it also contains the package ID of this package. Now it contains the version, it contains the rank, and it contains the customizable settings as well that we have configured while we were creating the package. So all the settings that were configured, it's going to contain a brief of all of that. And one of the important thing that it is going to contain is something called a bulk refresh token, or a BPRT. Now we are going to talk about BPRT in detail later on, but think of it this way. When we were creating the package, the very first thing that we did was we got authenticated using a username and password by a global admin account, right? So what is the use of being authenticated? The use of being authenticated is, just when you get authenticated, you get a refresh token, right, from Azure. And this is that refresh token that we have got. And that refresh token is present in the package, so that whenever you are, and this refresh token is going to be used whenever we run this package in any of the client machines while we are trying to Azure AD join it and Intune enroll it. Because what is the end goal here? The end goal is taking this package into all the endpoints, running this package so that the end devices are Azure AD joined and Intune enrolled, right? So this package needs to have some token which it is going to use to authenticate to Azure while it tries to enroll a device, right? So if we were, let's say that I've got 10 machines and I want to enroll those 10 machines manually, then I'll have to go to each of those machines and then enroll it manually, and while I'm enrolling it, I'll have to enter my credentials, right? Just when I enter my credentials, I get authenticated, and then I get a token which is used to fetch further tokens and authenticate myself in various places, and then at the end the device gets enrolled to Intune, right? But now when we are running the package, we are not entering any credentials. So, but the authentication still has to happen. How does the authentication happen? The authentication happens because the package in itself contains the tokens which is needed for the device to get authenticated and get Azure Ready joined and Intune enrolled. So the long story short here is the package in the customization.xml, we can see the BPRT is present. It's a alphanumeric thing, and we can see this in one other place, that is when we are opening the package, but the customization.xml is going to contain this. And then it contains a lot of other information like what is the computer name that we have said, what are the policies that we are allowed, whether we are allowing trusted apps or not, whether we are unlocking the device or not. I mean, all the options that we are selecting in the while we are creating the package, they are all captured in the customization.xml file. Now, the commonly used features of Setup School PC tool. So, as I said, when we are using Setup School PC to enroll a device, the number of options are pretty much limited, and these are the only options that we get while we are creating a package using Setup School PC. However, things are different if you're using Windows Configuration Designer. We are going to see both the methods in the demo, and we'll see that Windows Configuration Designer provides us a lot more information. So we can remove pre-installed apps. So this is talking about the areas that we can control using Setup School PC tool, right? Not Windows Configuration Designer. So we can remove the pre-installed apps, allow local storage, optimize the device for a single student, allowing guest users, locking putting in a background screen for the lock screen, taking a test, and then installing applications, right? So these are the bunch of things that we can see. We already saw that in the screenshot. All right, so now let's talk a little bit more on the BPRT. What exactly is the bulk primary refresh token? We know that bulk primary refresh token is something that is generated and given to the device, which is captured in the package when we are creating the package using Setup School PC or Windows Configuration Designer, and this token will later be used to authenticate and enroll the device to Azure AD and Intune. But let's understand this in more details on what exactly BPRT is and what is the need of it. So BPRT token is bulk primary refresh token, sometimes also called bulk AAD token, which is used to enroll multiple devices to Azure AD and Intune. So over here we are using just one package. We are running that package on thousands of devices, and all those thousands of devices are getting automatically enrolled to Intune without the end user having to enter any credentials, any username or password, right? So that is what BPRT does. It makes the bulk enrollment possible. Creating a bulk primary refresh token or BPRT creates a user object in Azure AD. We have already seen this, right? So in one of the previous slides, we saw this one, that when we are creating a bulk primary refresh token, there is an account that gets created in Azure with this format, which contains the ID of the package at the rate the tenant name, right? So this is an account that gets created while we are creating a package, and it contains this information. Creating a bulk BPRT creates a user object. The device first gets BPRT, then the device gets an access token for Azure AD join using BPRT. So first the device got BPRT, and how did it get the BPRT? Because the admin entered his credentials, global admin credentials, while he was uh, creating the package. And when we are running this package in the device in all the end machines, then the end machine is going to get a access token by using the BPRT. Okay, so the device gets an access token, and similarly we can get an access to so the device gets an access token for Azure AD, and that is what is used to Azure AD join the device. Similarly, we can get an access token for Intune as well, which is a SaaS on Azure, and uh, that is used to enroll the device to Intune. All right, so now we at least understand what exactly BPRT is and why exactly is it needed and when is it generated. Now let's talk a little bit about the logs and the registry. So while we are using a provisioning package, so let's say that we use a provisioning package to enroll a device to Intune. So what are the logs that we must see in case we have to troubleshoot any issue? So there are two logs that we are going to see. uh, First is this location. This location is specific for provisioning package. The second location is going to be the MDM diag logs, which is same irrespective of the methodology for enrollment. So this log is going to tell us whether the provisioning package was successfully applied or not, and whether there were any errors while processing that provisioning package. And the MDM diag logs, I mean the enterprise diagnostic logs in the event viewer is going to tell us whether the enrollment successfully happened or not, right? And then we are going to take a look over the relevant registries as well. So this is the first location. The location is Microsoft Windows provisioning diagnostics, and then diagnostics provider, and then admin. And if we come over here, and once we have applied the package over here, you can see that a log entry is made which says that applying package with this name which expires at this is the package ID, and it contains the timestamp as well, right? This and if there are any errors while the application of this package, let's say that the package has expired, or let's say that the package is not built correctly, or let's say there's any issue with the package, then this is the first location where we would like to check the logs. And if the provisioning package has been applied successfully, then the next log to check is the enrollment related logs, because at the end of the day, the provisioning package is going to enroll the device to Intune, right? So if the package was applied successfully and the MDM scope and everything was set, then we will see a MDM enrollment succeeded event ID as well, with an event ID 72. So this further substantiates that the device was successfully enrolled to Intune. And as far as the registry is concerned, well, the registry is again generic. So we have already seen this location, HKLM software, Microsoft enrollments, and then there is a GUID. So this is the location wherein we see and find out if the device has been successfully enrolled or not, and how it was enrolled. So irrespective of whether it was enrollment by provisioning package or autopilot or co-management or group policy, or I mean, it doesn't matter how exactly it was enrolled. This is always going to be the registry location for enrollment. And over here at the bottom, we see the UPN that was used to enroll the device, and we can see the UPN is the same as the ID that was created in Azure when the provisioning package was getting created. So, and then you can see a whole bunch of settings, the tenant ID, the certificate thumbprint, the discovery URL, and stuff like that, right? So we have seen the logs, we have seen the registry. And while troubleshooting, those two logs and this registry is what is going to come in handy while we are troubleshooting any such issues. Okay, and next thing I wanted to talk about something very interesting, and that is the provisioning package that we have created. One option is using that provisioning package to enroll the device. But then we know that in the provisioning package, there are a lot of settings that we can configure, right? Like, for example, let's say you want to disable the USB driver, you want to disable the Bluetooth. There are so many settings that we'll see later when we are creating a package using Windows Configuration Designer. So one of the other options or approaches is creating a provisioning package in which we are not using to enroll a device, but which we are using to enable or disable a setting, and then using that provisioning package in the device to configure a setting. Now, well, obviously we can always run that provisioning package manually on the device like we were doing it initially to enroll it. The other option is, if the device is already enrolled, then we can deploy that provisioning package from Intune as a Win32 application, which is going to get installed in the device just as an app or as a PowerShell script using IME, and then it's going to take effect. So just to reiterate, what we are talking about here is the first option was using a provisioning package which was going to enroll the device, and while enrolling it is going to Azure join the device, install the applications and configure settings as needed. That is option one, and in that case we will have to run that provisioning package manually in the device, because we cannot send that provisioning package automatically to the device because from Intune, because the device is not enrolled to Intune to begin with, right? So we will have to insert a USB drive or keep it in a shared network, and then copy paste it from there to the device, and then double click and run it, or run it via UB or whatever the case may be. So in that case, the provisioning package is not being deployed via Intune. The other option is, if the device is already enrolled to Intune, then we can use a provisioning package to configure some settings. Let's say the provisioning package is disabling USB drive or disabling Bluetooth, and then deploying that provisioning package as a Win32 application to the device via Intune, which is going to make some changes. Now, why would we do this? Um, that is arguable. Now, this is not the best approach of deploying a provisioning package as a Win32 application, because let's say that you are using a provisioning package to deploy to a device that is enrolled to Intune as a Win32 app, which is disabling the USB drive or disabling the Bluetooth. Well, you have got better ways of to do it, right? You can make a inbuilt device configuration policy from Intune, which is going to disable the USB drive or disable the Bluetooth. If that option is not there, then you can directly deploy a OMA URI or a CSP, which is going to do the same thing, or you can always deploy a PowerShell script, right? So deploying a provisioning package as a Win32 app is a approach that is possible, but is that the best approach to get things done? Well, I don't think so, because if you're deploying a OMA URI, then you can target each OMA URI individually, right? Each setting individually, and then you can troubleshoot it as well. However, that is not the case in case you're using a provisioning package, because it's a package which has bundled all the settings in it, right? So troubleshooting it is not that seamless, and you're just complicating it uselessly. However, I wanted to talk about it because this approach exists, and there is a good blog that exists on this by Anoop, so I just wanted to give a call out of that. So in this, it's talking about how to deploy a provisioning package from Intune as a Win32 app. It's very easy. Therefore, I just wanted to leverage an existing blog rather than showing it to you in some other way. So it's talking about what a provisioning package is. We already know what a provisioning package is, and it can be created using Windows Configuration Designer. And it can be, once the provisioning package has been created, it can be deployed via Intune or via SCCM. There are a lot of settings that can be configured or created when we are using the Windows Configuration Designer. We will see all of this later in the demo. So in this blog, we are seeing how to create a Windows provisioning package to disable Bluetooth, and to make some changes in the and to add a root certificate. So over here, the first thing that we do is create a package. Then we convert the package to Intune Win format. Intune Win format is the format by which it's a Win32 format, right? So if you know how to deploy Win32 application, we are following the same thing here. So from Intune, we can inherently not deploy a .ppkg or a .exe. So if we want to deploy a .ppkg or .exe from Intune, we have to convert it to another format called Intune Win, and that can be deployed via Intune as a Win32 application. Conversion of a .exe or .ppkg to Intune Win is very, very easy. Just have to run a command. That's it, and use a utility. So over here, first we are using Windows Image Configuration Designer, and then from here we are creating the package. And on the left hand side, you see it tells us all the settings that can be configured. We go under connectivity to allow Bluetooth, and then we set it to no. And then we are making some changes to a certificate as well. We are adding a certificate. So over here we have gone to the certificate path and uploaded a certificate over here. And then once these two settings have been added to the provisioning package, then we export the provisioning package from the tool itself in .ppkg format. Then we convert it to .intune win using the Intune WinApp utility. It's very easy. Please check out the conversion process. It's just a couple of steps. Now what we are doing is we are deploying that .intune win file which we obtained by converting .ppkg to .intune win from Intune, and then we are just adding the install and the uninstall command via PowerShell, and it gets deployed to the device. Then we go to the provisioning diagnostic provider event via log, and over there we can see that the package is getting applied, the root certificate gets installed, the Bluetooth gets disabled, and now when we open the Bluetooth settings we can see that Bluetooth is off. So in this blog also we have it has been called out that this is the provisioning package is an excellent tool, but then we would avoid deploying ppkg via Intune. So it's wise to use ppkg to enroll the device, but what we are talking about right now is using ppkg to make some settings changes in the device by deploying that ppkg from Intune as a Win32 app. So as I said, the other more sensible approach is directly targeting a Intune policy if it already exists, or deploying a CSP or a OMA URI or a PowerShell script instead of going with this. Now, the next thing is, let's say that you have installed a ppkg, you made a lot of change. Now, what happens when you uninstall or when you remove the ppkg? So it's possible to remove a package as well, remove a provisioning package from a device. Now, what happens when we remove the package? The answer to that is a generic answer. There are some settings which are going to be removed, which are registry based settings, and there are some settings which are not going to be removed. So over here we say this is talking about the registry based settings that are revertible when a provisioning package is uninstalled. These are the registry based settings, and then there are some other CSP based settings which are revertible. However, there, like over here you see Wi-Fi profile which is revertible, and you see browser, maps, and all these things which are revertible. But there will be many settings which are not revertible depending upon the kind of the settings. So it's always good to check the documentation of that exact OMA URI or that exact CSP to be sure. Now let's understand the working of a provisioning package. So until now we have understood what provisioning package is, when to use it, how to use it, where to use it, what a provisioning package contains, but how does it exactly work? I mean, when we are double clicking on a provisioning package, automatically it's taking effect. Or when we are inserting a USB drive which contains the provisioning package, it's getting detected and it's taking effect. But what exactly is enabling the operating system to understand that there is a provisioning package, and what is the background flow that happens? That is what we are going to talk about right now. And there are three things that we need to understand as far as the working of a provisioning package is concerned. So there are three different components which work together, which make the working of a provisioning package possible. There is something called a provisioning engine. There is something called a configuration manager. Now, this is not the SCCM System Center Configuration Manager. This is something else. Just think of it as a component of the OS. And then there is something called a CSP, or Configuration Service Provider. Okay, so there are these three components which we are going to talk about in the next slide, and these three components are responsible for the working of a provisioning package. So the first thing is the provisioning engine. Okay, so provisioning engine is the core component which is responsible for managing the provisioning package and configuring a device in the runtime. So what the provisioning engine does is it provides the following functionality. It is the provisioning it is responsible for running a provisioning package during either the first boot, during the OOBE, or at the runtime. Okay, so when you're powering on the device for the first time, or when you, let's say you have reset the device and you are at the language and location screen, or during the runtime of the device, if you're double clicking on a provisioning package, then it is the provisioning engine that is running under the hood, which is responsible for the application of the provisioning package. So what it does is it combines the settings from multiple sources. So the provisioning package can be applied from multiple sources, right? I mean, you can create a provisioning package on your own and apply it. The OEM can create a provisioning package and the OEM can apply it. Microsoft can add a provisioning, something like a provisioning package in the operating system as well, and Microsoft can apply it. So the provisioning, so let's say that we have there are three different sources from Microsoft, from OEM, as well as from the system admin. So if there are three different sources, then there is a possibility that things might conflict with each other, right? So provisioning engine is responsible for combining all the settings and then determining which one is going to take effect. How does it do that? So as I said, as we have spoken about this earlier, each provisioning package has a rank, and using the rank, the provisioning engine determines which setting is to be applied, and if in case there is a conflict, then which setting from which package is going to supersede the other. Okay, so the provisioning engine is responsible for running the provisioning package during the first boot or the OOB or runtime, for combining settings from multiple resources, from multiple sources, for responding to trigger. Let's say you double click and run a provisioning package, then it responds to that. Authenticating the provisioning package. So when you double click and run a provisioning package, or when you run the provisioning package in a machine, it contains the BPRT, right? So that token is used for authenticating the device. So that authentication initiation is also done by the provisioning engine, and selecting a set of configuration based on the state, and then applying it. So until now we have understood what exactly provisioning engine is, right? So engine, what is a engine? An engine in a car is the one that is running everything, that is responsible. So the engine, think of the engine as the brain, right? So the provisioning engine is the brain. It is responsible for combining everything. It is responsible for applying the provisioning package. It is responsible for authenticating. It is responsible for triggering a provisioning package and all of that, right? Now, how does the provisioning package do it? So how does the engine work? The engine is the brain, or we have a brain in our body, but our brain is not walking, right? Our legs are the one that is doing the job, that is doing the walking. So our brain is telling our leg to walk or to do a movement. So similarly over here, the provisioning package is the brain, but the provisioning package is telling the configuration manager to do a specific activity. So the provisioning package, the provisioning engine relies on the configuration manager for all the actual processing and application of a chosen configuration. The provisioning engine determines the stage of a provisioning, and based on a set of keys determines the set of configurations that are to be applied, and then it sends it to the configuration manager, meaning the provisioning engine is making the determination that whether our brain is making, the analogy here is our brain is deciding when we have to walk, when we have to sit. Now when we have to walk, our brain has made that decision. Now our brain is telling the leg, which is the configuration manager, that now you're supposed to walk. If we have to sit, then our brain is telling our leg that now you have to stop, and now you have to bend down, and now you have to sit, right? So similarly, the provisioning package is first determining what are the settings that are to be applied, which, if there is a conflict, then which setting is going to supersede, which setting is not going to supersede, when the provisioning package is going to be applied, when it is going to be triggered, and stuff like that. Once the provisioning package has made its decision that okay, now this setting has to be applied, then it tells the configuration manager, and the configuration manager is the leg. Now the configuration manager is the person who is going to do the application, right? Application or perform that activity. Now, how is the configuration manager performing that activity? The configuration manager in turn is performing the activity by using CSP. So the provisioning engine is the brain, the configuration manager is the leg, and the CSP is the muscle in the leg. So when we are saying that the brain is telling the leg that you have to walk. Now, how is the leg able to walk? The leg is able to walk because the leg is telling the muscles in our legs that, okay, you have to contract and you have to expand and you have to move in a specific direction, right? I hope this analogy is making sense. So provisioning engine, the brain tells the configuration manager that now you have to apply these settings, or now you don't have to apply these settings, and this has to be superseded, this has to be, in this case there is a conflict, now you have to trigger it, now you don't have to trigger it. Now the configuration manager is applying that by using a CSP. Now CSP is, or configuration service provider, is something, is a muscle, right? So CSP is something that we are already aware or familiar of, right? So when we deploy a policy directly from Intune, it in a way targets a CSP, right, which is exposed by the operating system. So or let's say that we target a OMA URI from Intune. It also targets a specific CSP which has been exposed by the operating system, right? So the configuration manager in turn parses and calls into the specific CSP and applies a specific setting. Okay. So the configuration manager provides a unified way of managing the Windows devices. The configuration manager handles and parses the OMADM request that is coming from different channels. It can be from configuration service provider. It can directly come from the MDM. But it depends upon from where the request is coming from. So the CSP, the configuration manager can tell the CSP to make a specific change in the setting. Directly the MDM can also target a CSP, right, by using a OMA URI. Right? Underneath the configuration manager is the CSP. Each setting of the configuration translates to a particular CSP, and then it interprets it and then makes the relevant changes. Okay. Each CSP translates the instruction in the configuration and calls it to the appropriate APIs and the components to perform the requested provisioning action. So I hope that we have understood what these three components are by using this analogy, the brain, leg, and the muscle analogy. And these three are like the building blocks behind working of a provisioning package. The provisioning engine always copies the acquired provisioning package to this location before processing it during the OOBE. And when applying a provisioning package from a removable media, the UI settings allows us to view the content of the package. So we have already seen that, right? When we double click and apply a provisioning package, it actually tells us that what are the settings that the provisioning package is going to apply, or what are the settings that the provisioning package is going to change, right? So this is what that slide is talking about. After a standalone provisioning package is applied, the package is persisted in this location. So inside program data Microsoft provisioning folder, here program data Microsoft provisioning folder, once we have applied the provisioning package, the provisioning package persists in this location. So this is, you can think of it as a residue. So once we applied the provisioning package, this is where it is going to be present. So in case you want to take a look over it later on, there is, as we have already spoken, there is a way to remove a provisioning package as well. It's also very easy. We'll see that in the demo. We just have to go to Start, Settings, Access Work or School. On the right hand side, there is a hyperlink which says that Add or Remove Provisioning Package. We just have to click over there, and then we have an option of removing a provisioning package. And then this talks about the install directory. Okay, now the next thing that I wanted to talk about was multi-variant provisioning package. I don't want to get into very details of this because this is not really relevant to Intune that much. This is more of a Windows thing. But let me just quickly open up our official documentation. And multi-variant settings or multi-variant provisioning package, think of it this way. Let's say that we have got 10 machines, out of which 5 machines needs to be provisioned using a specific set of settings. Like let's say in the first 5 machines we want to enable a specific setting, and in the next 5 devices we want to disable a specific setting. Right. So one option is I create 2 provisioning package. I apply the first one in the first 5 bunch of devices and the second provisioning package in the second bunch of devices. And in this case, assuming that the first 5 devices and the second 5 devices have a distinguishing factor between them. Like for example, the first 5 devices have a specific version of the processor, or a make and model of the processor, and the next 5 devices have a different model or make and model of the processor, right? So what we can do is we can create a provisioning package which is multivariant, and think of it like just an if-else statement. So if devices are meeting this criteria, then these settings are going to be applied. Else, if the devices are meeting this criteria, then this set of settings are going to be applied, right? So long story short, multivariant provisioning package means that one provisioning package is containing many settings, and depending upon the conditions mentioned in the provisioning package, if the device meets that conditions, then that specific setting is applied. If it meets a different set of conditions, then a different set of settings are applied in the provisioning package. How is this useful? This is useful because we don't have to create separate provisioning packages. We can use the same provisioning package on all the devices, and whichever criteria the devices meet, like first 5 devices met a specific criteria, so whatever condition and criteria was mentioned for that for those set of devices, they are applied for the first 5 devices, just like a if else statement, right? So again, I will not go into very details of this because this is a complete Windows thing, but over here at the bottom, if I scroll down, it talks about how the XML looks like, and over here you can see that if the processor name is Celeron, and if the processor type is Intel, then there is some settings that is going to be applied. And if the processor name is this, and if the processor name type is this, then there are some other settings that are going to be applied. All those settings are present in the provisioning package itself, right? So long story short, multivariant package can be used. Not exactly a Windows thing. There might be better ways of configuring this from Intune rather than using a multivariant package. Like for example, you figure out the first 5 devices, create a device group for them, or if there are unique users, then user group for them, and then create a configuration profile from Intune and deploy it to the first group of users, which is enabling that setting. And for the second group of users, you create a second group and then create another configuration profile and deploy it, right? Rather than using a provisioning package like this and then converting it into Intune Win and complicating things unnecessarily. Okay, so now let's talk about the common issues. What are the common issues we are expected to encounter while we are working with provisioning package? One is the issue with the package itself. So it's always recommended that if you're using a provisioning package which you are going to enroll, let's say 50,000 devices, always run it manually on few devices just to check whether it's running fine or not, whether there are any issues or not. I mean, it's always good, right? I mean, the same approach what we use in case of deploying a Win32 app. It's always good to check the install and uninstall command and run it on a device manually on different versions of the OS, just to make sure that there is nothing wrong in the package itself. Now, obviously, the MDM scope needs to be set because the provisioning package which we are using in this case is to Azure AD join Intune enroll the device. If the MDM scope is not set, then that is going to fail. That's obvious. The service account deleted in Azure, as we have already spoken about this, when we are creating a provisioning package, a service account gets created in Azure with the suffix of that service account is the ID of that provisioning package, and the prefix is the ID and the suffix is at the rate whatever your tenant name is, right? So if that service account is deleted, then that provisioning package is of no use, because then that service account is the one that has been provided with the BPRT, right? So then it's going to fail. Network issues at the client end. Well, obviously, if you're behind a firewall and you're running a provisioning package and the Intune endpoints are not reachable, or the Azure endpoints are not reachable, then the Azure AD join is going to fail, or Intune enrollment is going to fail. If the ports are closed, then obviously the same issue will happen. So I mean, those issues will happen irrespective of whether you are doing a manual enrollment or whether you are doing a enrollment via provisioning package. But yeah, I mean, all those things which are applicable for a normal enrollment are applicable for a provisioning package as well. And then OS related issues. So the OS needs to support the provisioning package, and we should be able to run the provisioning package in the operating system, and whatever. And well, obviously for troubleshooting, we know the logs, right? The system logs of the OS, as well as the MDM related logs, the MDM diag logs, as well as the logs specific to provisioning package, which we have already seen. All right, so now it's time for the demo, and these are a few of the things that we are going to see in the demo as far as creation of the provisioning package is concerned. And when we see these things, then we'll actually understand the power of provisioning package, why this is so useful and so powerful. And as I said, this is as powerful as autopilot or autopilot way of enrollment or group policy way of enrollment or co-management way of enrollment, because in not only in educational institutions but in many enterprises, the devices first goes to the IT admin. The IT admin then hands out the device to the end users, and if the devices are going to the IT admin, it doesn't really make sense to make use of autopilot, because the IT admin can do a lot of configuration at his end itself by using a provisioning package. So now let's just quickly switch to the demo and then see all these things in live action. So guys, in the demo, the first thing we are going to do is take a look over Windows Configuration Designer. So all we have to do is go to Microsoft Store and type in Windows Configuration Designer, and the application is going to come up. This is a free application and just needs to be installed from the store. I have already installed it in my machine, therefore I'm just going to click on open and launch it. And just when the application launches, we can see that there are some templates that I can use. If I want to provision a desktop, then I can use this template. If I want to provision HoloLens, kiosk device, mobile device, Surface Hub, or if I want to do advanced provisioning. So we'll take a look over all of that later on. But right now, predominantly what we want to do is provision a desktop. Therefore, I'm going to click on provision a desktop device, and it tells us the name of a project. So in a way, a project gets created, and that project is like, think of a project as like your instance of Windows Configuration Designer. So I'm just going to call it EAI demo WCD Nugget Labs Enrollment. I know this is not a very original name, but anyways, we can name it whatever we would like to, and then it shows us the location as well wherein it's going to save the file, save the package that we create. So I'm just going to click on finish, and then it opens up our instance of the Windows Configuration Designer. So you can see that we have got these 6 items that we can configure, and then we have an option of switching to advanced filter as well, advanced editor, which gives us more options. So first I want to show you the basic options. So the first one is setting up of the device, and over here I can set up a device name. So let's call this Nugget Labs EAI. So the naming convention is going to be Nugget Labs EAI followed by the serial number of the device. So I am just going to say Nugget Labs EAI, and then either this, or if I just want to generate a random number, then I'm going to use this. So this is the number I'm going to use. I don't want to use any product key. I don't want to configure this for shared usage. I don't want to remove any pre-installed app, because all that we are doing right now is the basic usage. So I'm just going to click on next. Now I have an option of setting up of network also. So I can enter the network SSID and the network type. However, this is not mandatory, so I don't want to use a network. Set up a network. The advantage of doing this is, let's say that let's say that I've got 10,000 Windows laptops, and all those laptops are our corp laptops, and they're always going to connect to the same corp network. So then I can select the corp network over here and select the authentication mechanism as well, so that this does not need to be connected manually by the user. Just when the package is run, the device gets connected automatically to the same network. The user always has the option of connecting to the network manually as well. So I'm just going to click on next, and over here it's telling me the option of how I want to manage this device. Whether I want to join this to Active Directory, meaning on-prem Active Directory, whether I want to join this to Azure Active Directory, or whether it should be in the work group. So I'm just going to click on enroll in Azure AD, and over here you can see that it creates a bulk token. So this is the BPRT that we spoke about, the bulk primary refresh token. And to do that, I have to sign into the machine. I have to sign into this application using a global admin credentials of my tenant. Just entering the username and the password. Um, I don't want to click on this. If you click on this option, then it enrolls the machine in which you are running the Windows Configuration Designer. So this machine, this physical laptop is also going to be enrolled. But my intention right now is not enrolling this laptop. My intention is in this laptop, I have launched the Windows Configuration Designer. I want to create a package and then use that package to enroll 10,000 different machines. But I don't want to necessarily enroll this machine itself. If it doesn't matter to you, you can click on allow my organization to manage my device and then click on OK. My device is already enrolled, therefore I'm just going to click on no, sign into this application. And this is the point wherein the BPRT is going to be fetched. And over here you see it says that bulk token has been fetched successfully. So the devices, whenever I run this package on any device, it's going to be Azure AD joined, because over here I have selected the option enroll in Azure AD. And since I've already set the MDM scope and the enrollment restriction is also set appropriately, therefore the device is going to be Azure AD joined and then Intune enrolled. Okay, so I'm just going to click on next, and then here it gives me an option of adding an application in the package itself. Right now, I don't want to add any application in the package. I just want to create a vanilla image. So I'm just going to click on next. I can add a certificate as well. I don't want to do that. I'm going to click on next. And then it gives me an option of creating this package. Now, what we have to note here is first it gives us a summary that the options that we are going to save, shared devices is not set, pre-installed software is not removed. This is the device name. The network type is wired. Bulk PRT token is going to be valid until this date, and which is usually for 6 months. We have not added any applications and certificates, and we have an option of protecting the encrypting this package by a password, which I'm not doing. And all I have to do is now click on create. So I just clicked on create, and over here it says that where exactly the package is going to be saved. It tells me this location, which is C drive. I can just click on this hyperlink, and there you go. So over here you see that the package is created and the name of the package is similar to the name of the project, which is EI demo WCD Nugget Labs enrollment.pkg. And along with, so this is the important file. This pkg is the package that we have to run everywhere. Now, along with the package, you see that there are a few other files which are created. The important one here to see is the customizations.xml. So I'm just going to double click on that XML. It opens it up in a browser. And over here, I can see what is the customization that I have done in the package. So over here, you can see that my package, the package that I created has a package ID. This is the package ID, which is always going to obviously remain the same. And then it has a package name, the name that we provided to the project. It has a version. The owner type is OEM. It has a rank of 0. And then if I scroll down, this is the BPRT or bulk primary refresh token. This is the token that is going to be used for authentication when I try to join, when I run this package in any client machine and join a device to Azure AD and enroll it to Intune. So this is an important piece, the BPRT here. And then it tells us the naming convention that I have used in the package, which is Nugget Labs EAI, and then this random number, and what I have configured and what I have not configured, right? Like for example, if I have hidden anything, like hide the UV, this is taken care of by default. There are some settings which are configured by default, and whatever settings we configure manually, it is going to show up in the customizations.xml. So this in a way contains the metadata of all the configuration that was made while the package was created. And then this is a file that we are going to run in all the device. So our package is now ready. So what we can now do is directly switch to a client machine and run this package and see how the machine looks like. Okay, so we are at the machine. Let me quickly go to the command prompt and show you the host name. So the name of the machine is machine 1. Right now the device is not joined to any domain. The device is in the work group, is not joined anywhere. You can see that here. And the device does not have any PRT. And this is just a vanilla machine that I have just set up. Okay. All right. So now what we are going to do is first we are going to run the package in this machine, and then I'm going to show you what is the difference that that package is doing. And anyways, that package is not doing anything. That package is just going to Azure join the device, Intune, enroll it. Right? I have an option of just double clicking on the package. So there are many ways of installing a provisioning package in the machine. You can do it in the OOBE or you can do it post OOBE. So first we are going to see how we can do it post OOBE if it is an existing machine. Either you can just reset it, go to the OOBE phase again, or if you don't want to lose the data, or if you don't want to waste so much of time of resetting it and all that stuff, then you can just double click on the package or click over here which says add or remove a provisioning package, and then add a package from here from a removable media. Okay. So before we do that, before we run the package, let me just go over here and copy the package. So I'm just going to copy the .ppkg file which is needed. I'm just going to come to the machine. I can just paste it over here, and then I'm going to go to the event viewer, and I am going to open up the registry edit and just show you guys the changes that are being made. So HKLM, software, Microsoft, enrollments. Right now the device is not enrolled, so all these keys are not going to contain anything much. They're not going to be populated. I might as well just flush it out. So just delete, yes, okay, and then well, just 2 residues left. Everything looks good here. Now let me minimize this and let me show you guys the logs as well. So application and services logs, Microsoft, Windows, and then see device management enterprise diagnostic provider. This is our MDM node. So anything related to enrollment is going to be tracked here. So let me just do a clear log, just clear it. It's all fresh. So anything that we are going to do in the machine from now is going to be logged, and I have got rid of the previous logs. And there is one more location that I want to show you guys as well. So just opening another instance of event viewer, and then we'll go to provisioning under Microsoft, Windows, and then we are going to go to provisioning diagnostic provider. Okay, so the first one that we have seen is related to Intune or MDM enrollment rather, and this one is specific to running a provisioning package. So I'm just going to clear this log as well and then clear. So both my logs are cleared, and anything that I do on this device from now on is going to be captured. So I just double click on this. That's all that needs to be done. If you are an admin, you can just run it like this. If you are not an admin, then you will be getting a UAC prompt and you'll have to enter your admin credentials. I'm just going to click on yes. It tells us that whether I trust this package or not. Yes, I do. This package causes the device to reboot. That is fine. It changes device customization, changes the device name as per our as per the configuration that we have made, applies some policies, enrolls this device to Azure Active Directory, and since the MDM scope is set, in our tenant, it's going to enroll to Intune as well. I'm just going to click on yes, add it, and then it tells us that we are going to be signed out and the device is going to restart. So I'm just going to wait for the device to restart, and until then we can just go to the portal and then we are going to see when the device is going to show up over there. So I'm just going to go to the endpoint portal and then log in as an admin. I'm going to go to devices, Windows. Right now I should not be seeing that device. The device is named machine 1. So I don't see anything with the name machine 1 over here. So just going to wait it out. The device should restart in just a minute and then we are going to come back to the device. So the device is restarted, going to log into this machine with the same account of local admin. And now if I open up the settings application, you can over here see that the device is Azure AD joined. I have a sync button as well, which shows that the device is Azure AD the device is Intune enrolled as well. Looks good so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on start and then I now have an option of signing out from this machine as a local admin, and then given the device is Azure AD joined, I can log into this machine as a Azure AD user as well. So over here right now you see that there is an option of other user which is also enabled, which wasn't earlier. So this is the local admin, this is the other user. I click on that and now I can log into this machine as a standard Azure AD user. So I'll enter my username here and the password. Okay, so we are logged into the machine now, and let me just maximize this and go to the desktop. And now let's take a look over the logs. So the first thing that we are going to check is the provisioning diagnostic logs. And if I go to admin, then over here we should be able to see a log showing that the provisioning package was installed. Over here you can see it says that applying the provisioning package. The package ID is there, the name of the provisioning package is there, the one that we have installed. This was successful. If we keep going up, it initiates a reboot as well, and then it applies the package as successful. Uh, so this is one, and the other is the enrollment related logs. So for that, we'll go to device management enterprise diagnostic provider, and under admin, we can see the event ID 72 and it says that MDM enrollment succeeded. So this proves that the device was successfully enrolled. Obviously, so it was Azure AD joined. And if we check the enrollment related registry as well, so over here, if we check the same location under enrollments, now we can see that there is a registry key that is populated. And thing to note here is the UPN used for enrollment is something like this. And this is think of it like a service account that is created with the package. So if we go into the portal, which we will very shortly, we will see that with the ID that this is the ID of the provisioning package, and there is a user account or maybe a service account created with the name package underscore that ID at the rate nuggetlabsedu.onmicrosoft.com in my tenant. If I were to delete this ID, this service account, then all the enrollment using this provisioning package would fail. So that is one way of making sure that the provisioning package is no longer in use in case it has been misplaced. So by looking at the registry also, we can successfully conclude that the device was enrolled correctly. And then in the command prompt, let's do a dsreg cmd space / status. And over here we can see is the device joined? Yes, it is joined. Where is it joined? It's joined to Azure AD and it has Azure AD PRT as well. Looks good, looks healthy. It has the enrollment related URLs as well. Looks good. Tenant name is also showing, tenant ID is also showing over here, and Azure AD join is showing as yes. So, and the device name is also updated over here. So now let's quickly switch to the portal and see how the device shows in the portal now, given that it's successfully enrolled. So we are right now at the portal, and over here you can see that there are so many UPNs that are created. Uh, uh, uh. So our UPN should also be here. So if I were to go to the regedit and UPN, so let me just copy this. Starts with 9 and ends with 9D6155. So we should be able to find it here. I don't think it got copied. But anyways, that package is going to be present over here with that same package ID. And what else? If I go to devices and if I go to Windows, I should be able to see a device with that same naming convention. So if I go to the device and if I check the device name, earlier it was called Machine 1, but now, sorry. Earlier it was called Machine 1, but now it's called Nugget Labs EAI and then a generic number. So let's see if it is there or not. There you go, Nugget Labs EAI and then a generic number. The device is compliant. And once the device is enrolled, obviously, if we deploy any device configuration policy, the policy is going to take effect. Okay, so now we are going to take a look over some advanced options that we have while we are using the Windows Configuration Designer tool. So I have the Windows Configuration Designer tool open in front of me, and I'm going to do the same thing. That is, I'm going to click on Provision Desktop Devices. So I click on this. I have to name the project. So let's call this Advanced Provisioning. And it tells me where it's going to save it, and I'm just going to click on Finish. Okay, and there you go. The editor has opened up. My project has opened up. At the top, you can see it says that advanced provisioning underscore new, right? And then it tells me we have already gone through this. So I'm just going to say, let me just call this EAI demo lab. And then I know this is not the most original name, but that's fine. So I don't want any product key, nothing like that. We have already seen all these options. So I'll just skip through all of this and I just want to show you the main deal. So I'm just going to click on enroll in Active Directory, get the bulk token real quick. And then we are going to switch to the advanced editor. Okay, so I've got the bulk PRT, and before going to next, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to switch to the advanced editor. Over here, it gives me a pop-up saying that if we switch to the advanced editor, we cannot come back to the simple editor, and this is because whatever customizations we make over there, they cannot be displayed in this format in the simple editor. That's why I just have to click on yes, and then it takes me to the advanced editor. So first, let me just give you a quick walkthrough of what this advanced editor is. This has a lot more options. On the left hand side, you can see the available customizations, and then in the if I expand the runtime, you can see there are so many available customizations. Think of it like the options that are available in the Intune portal to create a policy. There are so many, right? But we don't create all of them. Whatever we create, that gets added on the right hand side under selected customizations. So until now we have made some customization, right? What customization have we made? We have selected the name of the device, the naming convention, as well as we have fetched the BPRT. And that's the thing you are going to see over here under selected customization. So whatever we see in the selected customization, this is what the package comprises of. And on the left hand side, these are the options that we have that we can use to make our package. So if I expand accounts and if I expand Azure, then over here you see BPRT, and this BPRT is the bulk primary refresh token that has been created. And we have the device OOBE as well. The OOBE is hidden, and in the device details we have the DNS computer name. So if I click on the dev details, this is the naming convention that we have selected initially. So if I want, I can change it from here as well. Let me just call this demo EAI machine. All right, it can have up to 63 characters, so I'm not exceeding that. And if I go into accounts over here, you see that there is a BPRT there, and in front of BPRT, you see that there is a BPRT. So this is the bulk primary refresh token. And this has one more significance which we are going to talk about later. Okay, and if we scroll down, it also even shows us the official documentation that we have around this. So until now we have these three customizations, that is the BPRT, the name of the device, and the UB is hidden. On the left hand side we have so many options that are present. So I'm not going to go through all these options, but I mean, we can always explore all of them. It's very simple. We just have to click on any of them and then configure it like I'm going to do now. And we have an option of searching for it as well. So let's say that I search for the word shutdown, and then inside start there is an option called shutdown, and it tells me whether I want to hide the shutdown or not. So I have an option of hiding the shutdown. So if I click on the drop down, it says that yes or no. If I click on yes, then the option to shut down the machine is going to be hidden. So just when I clicked on the drop down under yes, on the right hand side you can see that this node policies gets added, because this option of hiding shutdown is cascaded under start, and start is cascaded under policies. So under this policy nodes gets added. If I expand it, then I see it has start. If I expand this, then I see it has got hide shutdown, and that is what I have selected over here. Okay, now let's do something else. Let me just clear this out, and then let's see what other interesting options we have. So I'm just going to collapse all of this, and then let's take a look over. Let's try to create a user. So if I can either search it in this tree, or I can just go over here and type in user. So over here you see there are so many options, and I just have to pick on the right one. So it's under accounts, we have something called user. So let's explore this out. I have an option of creating a user. Let me just call this create user, and then click on add. Just when I click on add, it says that there is a node that got created under users. The username is create user, but it is highlighted in red, and that is because there is some information that is missing. What is the information that is missing? If I expanded it, says that okay, you want to create a user, but it needs to have a password as well, right? So when I click on the password, it tells me that some text is required. It says that accounts user create user password must be configured. So I cannot create a user without setting some password to it. So let me just set a password to it, and just when I do that, all is good. The red prompt has gone away, and if I click on this, I have an option of adding it even shows the password over here as well. I can add this user as an administrator. This is going to add the user to a specific group, and if I want, I can add more than one users. Just when I did this, on the right hand side you can see under accounts this node of users has got added. If I expand this, it says that the username is create user. If I expand this, there is a password. The password is this. If I click on the user group, it says that this user that we have created is going to be added into this administrator group. Okay, now let's say that, I'm just giving you guys examples. These might be very lame examples, but the intent is just showing you guys how all these can be created. So now what I'm going to do, I am going to click over here and type in folder, and I have an option of creating a folder structure as well. So what this does is all the devices are going to have a specific folder structure. So now I'm going to do a folder creation. I know these examples might be quite lame, but the intent is just showing you guys what can be done. So over here, I just clicked on folder, and then I have an option of browsing to a specific location. So over here, let's say that I want to go to the C drive of my machine, and then let's see, do we have anything inside temp? Inside temp, we have a new folder. Inside new folder, let's say that we have a script. Okay, so what I've done is I've pointed it to this location. I'm just going to click on add. On the right hand side, we have seen that this drop down of a folder got added. So what this is going to do is this is going to create this folder structure inside public documents in the machine. It's going to create a file, the file that we just pointed to. So this file is going to be copied in the provisioning package, and whenever we run the provisioning package, this file is going to be present. So now this is something that I liked a lot. This might be very stupid, but let's say that there is a file, there is just a notepad or an Excel file which we want in all the 50,000 devices that we are enrolling to Intune. Now, I cannot think of a very subtle way by which we can do this from Intune. I mean, let's say that you autopiloted a machine, or you enrolled the machine via any way, via group policy, via co-management, not via co-management, because we might have some way via SECM, but let's say that we have just enrolled the device irrespective of how the device is enrolled. Now, can we we can create a folder structure using a PowerShell script or a OMA URI, but copy can we create a text file in C drive of all those 50,000 machines and mention that text file is going to have this text? What I'm trying to say is, let's say that I have a text file with me and I want that all those 50,000 machines which are enrolled to Intune should have that text file in that C drive folder. There might be some automation, there might be something that we might be able to do via PowerShell script, but there is nothing that comes to the top of my mind that there's a very subtle way of doing that. We can create a folder structure easily, but I'm not talking about creating a folder structure. I'm talking about copying a text file or an Excel file or any kind of a file to all those machines that are enrolled to Intune. But over here using provisioning package, we can very easily do that, right? I've found, but over here it gives us an option of copying it under public documents only. So I've just created this option, and when we run this package, we are going to see how this takes effect. Okay, the next thing that I want to show you guys is how we can add an application to the package. Now we could have added that application in the normal editor as well, but I just want to show you guys that it can be added in the advanced editor as well. And for that, we have to go to this node called provisioning commands. I'm just going to expand it. And then we have something called primary context and device context. I can expand both of that, and under primary context, we have something called command. So I'm just going to go to primary context command, and then let's say that I want to install Google Chrome as a part of my package. Now, well, obviously you might argue that Google Chrome can always be deployed to the devices from Intune once they have been enrolled. Well, we are just trying to offload that activity so that the internet consumption is less or stuff like that when the device is shipped to the end user. So let me just call this Google Chrome deployment and then just click on add. Over here you see that under primary context command it has got added. However, it has a red mark, and that is because, well, I said that I want to make a Google Chrome deployment, and I did not even spell Chrome correctly, but I have not provided any installer file or any command line, right? So the first thing that I want to do is I want to provide a installer file. So for that, I'm going to click on command file, and I'm going to browse to that MSI wherein the Google Chrome installer is present. So I've already downloaded the Google Chrome installer. So I'm just going to go to installers, and then this is the Google Chrome installer for 32-bit machines. And I'm just going to click on OK. This is a MSI. So I just clicked on this, and this is added over here on the right hand side. Now I need to provide a command line. What is the command line going to do? Well, you want to run this installer, but there has to be a command, just like, I mean, think of it just like configuring a Win32 application. You provide the .intune win file, but you have to provide the command line as well, right? That you want to run. So this is the command that we are going to use. We are going to invoke the command prompt, the cmd.exe, and then we are going to invoke msi exec, and then this is the name of the installer. That is the Google Chrome standalone enterprise.msi. This is the name of the installer, and we are using the switch quiet and no restart. In case of Google Chrome, it's not going to initiate a restart anyways, but I've just put in the no restart switch, and I've put in quiet because I want the installation to be unattended. I want it to happen at the background, right? There is an option of continue install, restart required. Well, restart is not required, so let me just set this to false, even though it does not really require a restart. And then there are return codes as well. So if I just expand this under primary context command, you see that everything that we did is just got added. Google Chrome deployment, Chrome being spelled incorrectly, and all of that, right? And then under over here, you can see that there is the shared PC mode as well. If you want to enable the shared PC mode, um, and then let's say you want to set a start menu layout, then if you have the XML, you can import that XML and you can add a start menu layout as well. In any way you would, whatever kind of layout you would want, you can add it. And then there are so many other options, like we have options under, if I go to the policies, then we will see that we have options for BitLocker, we have options for delivery optimization. uh, Okay, here you go. So inside the node policies, we see there are so many options. We have options for Bluetooth if I want to configure Bluetooth in the machine, or browser, or cameras, device guard, and system update, the device update as well. I mean, and the options over here that we see, these are the options that we have in the Intune portal as well, right? I mean, you have an option of doing this in the package, or you can deploy a Windows update ring policy, and over there you might have even more options. Or we have Wi-Fi, BitLocker. There are so many options that we have over here, right? You have got power related options, you have got start related options, and time if you want to set the time or stuff like that. We have got file explorer related options. If you want to configure memory dump, you can do that as well as a part of that image. Shared PC, we have already spoken about that. Take a test is there. Power related options are there. I mean, all the, not all, because if I go over here and check for firewall, I did not find anything. So I mean, hence this proves that not all the options are available over here when we are in the Windows configuration designer tool in the advanced settings, but a lot of options are there. So so what I'm going to do is, I think my package right now is kind of ready. Again, please feel free to explore as much as you want. I'm going to apply this to a machine, and then we are going to get into a deeper conversation on how should we choose and how should we decide what settings should be there in our package and what settings should we not offload, and should we do it from Intune itself. So over here, what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to export this provisioning package. Before that, let me just save this, and it says that it tells me the location where it's going to save it, and then I'm just going to export it. So I'm just going to click on export, and then it tells me the owner. So you remember when we initially when we ran a command to see the package ID, it was telling us that our package was created by the OEM, right? But in this case, we are creating it. So in this drop down, we are supposed to select IT admin. We can select the version over here as well. Let's say we are editing it, so we can change the version. And then we are supposed to put a rank as well, rank from 0 to 99. And then just click on next. We can encrypt and sign the package. If we sign the package, then the end devices know that the package is coming from a trusted source. If we encrypt the package, then obviously it is more secured. And then just going to click on next. It's going to tell us the location. So I'm just going to go to C drive. And then I think I have a folder called provisioning package. Let me just save it over here. And I have to provide it a name as well. So let's just call this latest ppkg. Let's just save it, next, and then build. Okay, this is ready. This shows me the location as well. We are all good. Let me just go to that location and make sure that the package is there. So I'm going to go to the C drive, provisioning package, and there you go. We have the latest ppkg. The size is 89 MB, and this size is going to be largely dependent upon the size of the applications that we add to the package. Even if we add a lot of settings, I've seen that the size of the package does not increase that much. But if we have added any heavy applications, then the size of the package increases that fold. Like for example, if I show you guys the installer, this is the installer that we have used, and you see that the size of the installer of the Chrome is 89460, and the size of our package is similar to that. It is 89478. So I mean, majority of the space is taken by the installer itself, because the package is containing the installer, right? Because if the package contains the installer only, then it will be able to install it in the machine when we run the package, right? Okay, so we have the package. So now what we are going to do, we are going to switch to a virtual machine. We are going to run it, and then we are going to confirm and see whether all these settings that we have configured in our package are going to take effect or not. So over here we have a test machine. So let me just go to the command prompt and do a host name. It should have a junk host name over here. The device is currently not named properly, and the device is not joined to any domain, or the device is not enrolled to Intune as well. So if I go to access work or school, you can see it's not. And if I do a appwiz.cpl, there is no software that I have explicitly installed. It just has Edge and OneDrive. Okay, so it all looks good. Now I am just going to copy the package and move it to this machine, and then we are going to run it. So I'm grabbing the .ppkg. I don't need the .cat file. So I'm coming to the machine, just pasting it over here. And later on, we are going to see how we can run this package during the OOBE. Right now, let's talk about a device which is past the OOBE at the desktop screen. So I might as well just double click on and run it, or I can go to start settings, accounts, and then add a provisioning package from there. Just double click and run, and it's going to tell us all the things that it is going to do. It's going to cause a device to reboot, as we have seen earlier, creates a local account in this case, enrolls in Azure AD, Intune enrolls, applies some policy, changes the device name, runs a script, which in this case is it installs Google Chrome, changes file content, because we'll see it's going to create a file structure. It's going to copy that file, and then changes device customization. I'm just going to click on yes, add it, and for a few seconds you see something is happening. We are not exactly sure what, but something is happening. And this is the point wherein Google Chrome is actually getting installed, because we have added it to the package. Now ordinarily Google Chrome takes about 45 seconds or so to get installed, and we are going to see that in about 45 seconds. I mean, under a minute, Google Chrome is going to get installed over here, and then the device is going to reboot, because after we apply a provisioning package, the device always undergoes a reboot. So this is the point wherein Google Chrome gets installed, and over here you can see as well that Google Chrome got installed and we got the icon in the desktop, and then it tells us that you are going to get signed out because the device is going to reboot. This reboot, I mean, even though we had suppressed the reboot after the installation of Google Chrome, but generally after applying provisioning package, the device is going to get rebooted, and that is what is going to happen now. Okay, so the device is back after reboot, and over here you can see it has created a user named create user, and it will gives me the option of logging in, but I'm just going to log in as an admin just to first see whether the device is looking good or not. Okay, so let me first check all the things that we configured in the package to see whether it has taken effect or not. So host name, you can see it has taken this name demo EI machine, and which is in accordance with what we had in the package. If we go under DNS computer name, we had the demo EI machine and then a random number. That is what is there. Google Chrome is already there. We have already seen. Now let's take a look over the folder structure. So if I go to C drive and then users and then public documents, over here you can see that this file is present which we had added into the package, and then that file actually contained a script to uninstall Google Chrome, and then this file has also got copied over, right? Just like we wanted to in our script. Okay, now let's see the reboot options. If I go into start and then click over here, you can see that the shutdown option is not there. And that is because in our package, we had removed the shutdown option. So we only have an option of disconnect and restart. And then lastly, the device should be enrolled to Intune and Azure AD joined as well, right? So that is the most important stuff. So if I go into accounts, if I go into access work or school, over here, you can see that the package is applied and the device is connected by this package. This is actually an UPN as we have seen. Otherwise, it would have shown the UPN of a user if this was manual enrollment. If I click on info, it shows us that Intune management extension is installed. If I scroll down, I have the sync button as well. So the device is successfully enrolled to Intune. We can check the registry as well if we want to, or the logs. We have already done that. So HKLM, software, Microsoft, enrollments, and then you will see that the device is enrolled and the registry is also populated accordingly. There you go, using the same UPN, and the event viewer is also going to contain the same thing. So pretty much everything that we had in the package, we are able to see that in the machine as well. So let me just do this. Let me just log off and sign out. So the device is Intune enrolled. We have seen that the device, we will go to the portal and confirm that as well. But the device is Azure AD joined, right? And if the device is Azure AD joined, then I should be able to log into the machine using any other Azure AD user. So let me just do that now. So I just restarted the machine and then I'm going to click on other user and then testing at the rate nuggetlabs.edu.onmicrosoft.com and the password. So this is an Azure AD user, and the fact that I'm able to log into this machine using the Azure AD credential means that the device is successfully Azure AD joined. And now we can switch to the portal as well and confirm that this device is showing up over there. So I'm logging into the Intune portal. If I go into devices and then Windows, over here I should be able to see our device, which is, I believe, well, I forgot. That is what happens when we name our devices in such a peculiar way. It is demo EAI machine 68826. Let me see, demo EI machine 68826. So our device is enrolled. It's showing up over here. It's Azure AD joined as well. It's Intune enrolled. Looks all good. The all the things that we added in the provisioning package are showing up over here as well. Now we are going to take a look and understand how we can apply a provisioning package in the out of the box state of a Windows 10 device. So over here I have a Windows 10 device and it is at the out of the box state, and this is the first screen that we get in the out of the box state wherein we have to select the region. Now we have two options if we want to provision, if we want to enroll this device using provisioning package. First is we can go to the desktop screen by answering all the security question and stuff like that, which is going to take at least 5 minutes, and then copy the provisioning package, double click and run. That is option 1. The option 2 is using the provisioning package in the out of the box state itself, so that the device gets enrolled as a part of out of the box provisioning. Think of it like another way of think of it like similar to what Autopilot does, because in case of Autopilot as well, the device gets enrolled during the initial provisioning. Applying a provisioning package in the OOBE is one of the fastest way of enrolling a Windows 10 machine. All we have to do is, let's say, I mean, right now we are looking at a virtual machine, but assume that this is a physical laptop or a desktop. So all we have to do is, when the device is at this state, we just have to plug in a USB drive into the machine which contains the provisioning package. The OS is automatically going to detect that there is a USB drive which contains the provisioning package, and the provisioning package is going to get installed, and we are going to see that the device gets enrolled automatically. So that is what we are going to do now. However, there is a little complexity. The complexity is this is a virtual machine and I cannot exactly plug in a USB drive into this virtual machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to emulate that by so the package that we have, it needs to be present in a USB drive, and the USB drive needs to be inserted into this virtual machine. So we are going to emulate that by converting that package into a ISO image, and then we are going to mount that ISO image into this virtual machine. So this is equivalent to having a laptop, having a package in the USB drive and plugging it in. If you have a physical laptop, you don't need to do what I'm going to do next. You just need to get a USB drive, keep the package in it, plug in the USB drive when the device is at the screen, and the rest will follow, which we are going to see next. But if you want to test this out on a virtual machine, then you need to convert the package into a ISO image and mount that ISO image into this virtual machine, which I'm going to show now. So the way to do that is there is this script in GitHub. This is the location to it. There is this YouTube channel by a gentleman named Cake Repository, and he has this script created, and I am going to copy this script, and this script does nothing but creates a ISO file using the commandlet new ISO file, and I am just going to copy this all, and I am going to open PowerShell ISE to a yes, and then I am just going to paste everything here. We just need one thing to run this script, and that is the package, because the package is going to be converted into an ISO, right? So obviously you need to have the package first, only then the ISO will be created. So I have the package. This is the provisioning package, so which we just created, 89 MB, contains Google Chrome and all that customization. I'm just going to copy this package, and the folder structure that we need to have is C drive, temp, ISO, and over here I am going to copy this package. Okay, because this is the folder structure that the script is looking for. C drive, temp, ISO, and inside that ISO folder we are going to, this is the folder, this is the hierarchy, C drive temp ISO. So all I have done is I have created the structure C drive temp ISO, and I have placed the package over there. Now I am going to run this script. Over here you see that the script just ran, and something happened, and the package is now created. The path for the ISO is in C drive. It would create a folder named ISOs. So I'm just going to go over there. I'm just going to go to C drive, and then there must be a folder named ISO. And over here you can see that there is a ISO that got created, which is more or less of the same size. Okay, this is a name that I provided, but this is the package that got created. So the package actually has got converted into an ISO. So now all that I have to do is mount this ISO to the virtual machine, which is now the easy part. So all I have to do is I have to go to the hypervisor. I just have to right click on this, go to settings, and I'm just going to mount this like I would mount a DVD drive. So I'm just going to go to the DVD drive. In the image file, I'm just going to browse, and instead of the ISO of the OS, I'm just going to go to C drive ISOs, and this is the ISO. This is nothing but the PPKG, which has been converted into a ISO. Just going to click on open, apply, OK. All right, all set. So now my package has been mounted to this virtual machine as a ISO image. This is equivalent to plugging in a USB drive to a physical laptop or a computer. Now in this screen, all I have to do is click on yes, and it is going to automatically detect the presence of provisioning package over here. If it doesn't, then all you have to do is click on the Windows key 5 times. So in my case, it detected the package automatically. If it doesn't in some case, then you just have to be on this screen and then press the Windows key 5 times. And then over here you see that the OS has automatically detected that there is a provisioning package which is either inserted into this via USB drive or it has been mounted to it. So I have an option of doing install provisioning package. I'm just going to click on continue. It says that it's installing the provisioning package. Now it says that you can remove the media now if I want to. It's going to apply all the settings. Over there we saw that it was joining the machine to Azure Active Directory. It's going to install all the applications that it needs to. The device is going to be Azure AD joined, Intune enrolled. The device is going to restart like it is at this point of time. And you see, this is all real time. I did not fast forward or I did not cut any part of the video. And you see how fast this is. And just the device. Okay, I understand that this is a virtual machine. This is not a physical machine. A physical machine might have taken a tad bit longer. And over here, you see that these steps have been applied. It's running the script and enrolling the device to Azure AD as in it's doing Azure AD join Intune enrollment. Okay, so it now says that the setup completed successfully. Okay, so the machine is now ready. I am good to log into this machine as a Azure AD user. Okay, so we are at the machine now. Let me just quickly check everything. So the host name, it has followed the naming convention that we had in the package. Um, um, mgmt.msc. Let me see if the local accounts have been created or not. There is an account which is created with the name create user. So we can log into this machine with that account as well. And obviously the device is also enrolled to Intune. Over here, we see that the device is also enrolled to Intune. I have an option of restarting the machine, but I don't have an option of shutting down the machine because that was configured in our package. Okay, and the other thing is if we go into the location of public documents, I can see that the file is also copied that we had made as a part of the package. So the point that I'm trying to make is no matter whether we install the PPKG after UBE by double clicking on it or whether we do it as a part of the out of the box experience, the end result is obviously the same. The device is enrolled and everything that was a part of the package gets applied. The point here is it is more subtle if we do it as a part of out of the box itself because then we are saving the time on going to the desktop and then running the package manually. And this is a better way of provisioning a machine, of applying a package during UB itself via the pen drive. So if you want to, just to repeat, if you want to do it in your lab in a virtual machine, then please go to this GitHub location and you will be able to find this awesome script which converts your package into into an ISO file which you can mount it into a virtual machine. Okay, now we are going to see how we can make use of Setup School PC application for creation of provisioning packages. So Setup School PC is nothing but just a free application available in Microsoft Store, which just like Windows Configuration Designer, which can be used for creation of packages. So instead of running through it, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly give you guys reference to a video that we have in a playlist over here. This is an official channel that we have from Microsoft, which talks about all the EDU related use cases. So I'm going to reference the module 6.2, which runs through how to create a provisioning package using Setup School PC application. And I also wanted to mention that there are other modules as well talking about all the EDU management related scenarios with respect to Intune. So I would highly recommend checking out this official content location from Microsoft. So as we can see, Setup School PC application is available for free in the store. We can download the application from the store for free and just launch it. This is the initial screen that we see, and all we have to do is click on Get Started. First, we have to name the package. We can provide it any name and click on Next. And then we have to sign in using our global admin credentials. So this step is also similar to what we did when we were creating a package using Windows Configuration Designer. So global admin needs to sign in, and we are not going to only click on no sign into this application only, otherwise this device will also be enrolled in which the package is being run. At this point of time, the Azure AD BPRT is going to be created, which is going to be added into the provisioning package, as we have already seen in case of creation of PPKG from WCD as well. Once this is done, we just have to click on next. And now we have the same options like we did in case of WCD as well. We have an option of adding a Wi-Fi network and the password to it. Then we can set up a device naming convention as well. So this prefix is going to be added to all the devices which are enrolled by using this package that we're creating right now. And then in the next tab, that is in the settings tab, we can see the settings that can be configured. Now this is the USP, the unique selling point of using a setup school PC. So over here you don't see a lot of options like we did while we were creating a package using WCD. It only has 4 options, and these options are customized for education scenarios. If I select on allow local storage, then the C drive and the D drive is going to be visible, not recommended in case of if the device is going to be shared. If the device is not going to be shared, then I should select the second option, which is optimize device for a single student. Then I have an option of configuring preferred Azure Active Directory domain name. In this case, what will happen is the UPN suffix is going to be by default apprehended into the username. And then I have an option of removing inbuilt applications. Then I can enter product key. I can enter take a test URL. It's a URL where students can go if they want to take any test. Then I have an option of adding applications as well, just like we did when we were creating a package from WCD. Then in the personalization, we can add the desktop background and the lock screen background. And when we click on next in the summary, it shows us all the selections that we have made. And then in this case, we have to insert a USB into the machine, and only then it lets us save the package. So I inserted a USB. I have an option of saving it. All I have to do is click on next, and it shows us where exactly it is saved in the machine. The end device needs to be in the OOBE screen when this package is being applied, or we can just double click on the package as well. So over here we can see that the package has been created. Now, one last thing that I wanted to mention on this topic is once the PPKG has been created using the Setup School PC application, we have also the ability of importing this package into the WCD tool in case we wish to do so. So this is quite useful in cases wherein, let's say that initially a package was created, now we want to use some more advanced settings which are not surfaced in the Setup School PC application. So in that case, we just have to take the PPKG and just import it in the advanced editor in the Windows Configuration Designer. It's going to show us all the settings that have already been configured, and as we have already seen on the left hand side in the runtime settings, it will give us an option to add more settings as per our requirement. Okay, so now we have the all important $1,000,000 question, and that is, when should we use provisioning package as a mode of enrollment? And if we have chosen provisioning package as the mode of enrollment, then what settings related to device management should we put in the package, and what settings should we apply from Intune? Because even if we are using provisioning package as a mode of enrollment, the device is going to be enrolled to Intune, right? So there is always this confusion of which setting should be deployed from Intune once the device that is enrolled via provisioning package is ready, right? So I have put on a list, and this list in a way gives us a reference on first which mode of enrollment should be chosen and when. If we have a device which is going to be enrolled by the end user, then the mode of enrollment over there should be manual enrollment or via deep link. And that is because we wouldn't want to give the provisioning package to the end user, because that is super critical. Now, if the devices are joined to the on-premise domain and we want to enroll them to Intune, then one of the options that we have is using group policy, getting the devices hybrid Azure AD joined and then enrolled to Intune. Now, if the devices are managed via SCCM and then we want to enroll it to Intune, then we can use SCCM itself to do the enrollment for us, and that mode is known as co-management. uh, I mean, co-management is a state wherein the device is managed via both SCCM and Intune at the same point of time. Some workloads being managed via SCCM and some workloads being managed via Intune. And we can achieve this by making SCCM do the enrollment for us if the device is already SCCM managed. Now, if the devices are boxed and directly shipped from the OEM to the end user, or if the devices are at the out of the box state when the devices arrive to the end user, then autopilot is something that we can make use of. But in this case, there has to be a good network connectivity at the user's end. Now, if the devices are going to be given to VIP users, then the smart way of enrolling them is via white glove, because in this we are going to pre-provision the device, or in a way pre-stage the device and install all the applications and make everything ready. The VIP user just has to get the device, log in, and he's business ready. Now, if the devices are procured by the local IT admin, he unboxes them, and then the local IT admin is going to distribute the device to the new employees. Then using provisioning package is going to be the preferred method, because the IT admin anyways is going to unbox the device and set up the device. So during the setup phase itself, he might as well use provisioning package to enroll it, because there is no point of him setting up the device, creating a local account, installing whatever firmware or whatever stuff he needs to install, and then giving the device to the end user and having him autopilot it, right? Because you will anyways have to reset the device if you want to autopilot it at that point. Or I mean, giving the device at that point to the end user and having him enroll as a deep link, because the IT admin already had the device, so he has the option of enrolling it at that point itself. And he can, and well, as I said, PPK using a provisioning package is a bulk method of enrolling. So I hope that this slide gives us an idea on when to use provisioning package. And believe me, this is a very powerful tool, even more powerful than doing autopilot. And I'll say this because autopilot will obviously is very powerful. We can directly ship the device to the end user and stuff like that, but it has that overhead of having a good network connectivity at the user's end. And if anything goes wrong, then it's always going to be the IT admin who has to troubleshoot. Now, if the enrollment is happening at the user's end, then IT admin has to figure out a way to do the troubleshooting, and the device is not with him. However, if in this case the provisioning package fails, the device is with the IT admin, so he can always troubleshoot. So again, I'm just trying to make a point that provisioning package is also a very powerful method of enrolling a device, very heavily used, almost in 99% of the cases in school scenarios, wherein the devices are used in educational institutions. In enterprise scenarios as well, provisioning package should be very widely used. Maybe it is not as widely used as it should be, because not everybody is aware, and maybe we choose autopilot even though we should have gone with provisioning package, which would have made things easier. But I hope that now we have understood how provisioning package is going to make our lives easier and make sure that the devices are business ready just in the out of the box experience itself. So that is pretty much it, guys. That's all I had in this session. I hope that we were able to understand what provisioning package is, when to use it for enrollment, what is happening under the hood, and what is happening at the background when we are using a provisioning package, what are the things that we can do when we are creating a provisioning package, and what are the various stages wherein we can apply a provisioning package. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope that this has been informative for you. I would like to thank you for viewing. This is your friend Saurabh Sarkar signing off.